Ever feel like education is, I don't know, maybe preparing students for a world that doesn't quite exist anymore?
It's a common feeling, I think. Things are moving so fast.
Right. Well, today we're doing a deep dive into something that might represent a pretty big shift in K-12 learning.
Ah, you must mean the EON reality announcement.
Exactly. You sent over the info about their Spatial AI K-12 Academy launch. They're calling it the world's first comprehensive educational transformation platform. That's quite a claim.
It is. It uses something they call spatial AI and a specific learning process. Learn, train, perform.
So our mission today really is to unpack that. What's the core of this initiative? Why might it be important? And we should mention, our discussion is based on the materials EON Reality put out with their announcement.
Makes sense. Let's get into it.
Okay, so maybe start with the why. What problem are they actually trying to solve here?
Well, the core issue they highlight is this growing gap. A disconnect between, traditional education, they use the phrase 19th century models.
Oh.
Yeah, between that and the actual demands of the 21st century economy, especially with AI and automation becoming so prevalent.
Right. And I saw that quote from their chairman, Dan Lajerskar. He said, education is at a historic inflection point, and that traditional methods just aren't cutting it anymore for preparing kids for an AI-driven future. So this isn't just about new gadgets in the classroom.
Exactly. They frame it as something much more fundamental. It's presented as more than just a tech upgrade. It's about rethinking the whole approach to make sure students are actually ready.
And they talk about it being an existential challenge, don't they?
They do. For both the students who might struggle to find their place and for the institutions themselves, the idea is that without adapting, we risk not developing those uniquely human skills, creativity, critical thinking, collaboration, and also the ability to work with AI, not just be replaced by it.
Okay, so that sets the stage. The problem is clear. Education needs to catch up drastically. So let's move to the what. What exactly is this Spatial AI K-12 Academy? What are the key pieces?
Well, first off, they really emphasize that it's comprehensive and integrated. It's not just selling, one piece of software here, another there.
The whole ecosystem.
Sort of, yeah. A unified solution for K-12. And importantly, they say it's designed to work across all grade levels, from primary up to high school and across different subjects. Plus, it aligns with major global curricula, British, American, IB, Indian.
That breadth is definitely notable if it can actually deliver on that promise.
True. Then there's the tech itself, the EON and XR platform. They describe it as enterprise grade, using this spatial AI.
Okay, spatial AI. What does that mean in practice? Like AI that understands 3D space.
That's the gist of it, yeah. AI that can perceive, reason, and interact within a three-dimensional context, more like how humans experience the world. This allows for more intuitive interactions and personalized learning paths, adapting the content intelligently.
And it works on different devices, right? Not just expensive VR headsets.
Correct. They stress it's scalable and secure and runs on smartphones, tablets, computers, and VR headsets if you have them. Accessibility seems key.
Good. Now, you mentioned something earlier that sounded particularly interesting. Text to XR.
Ah, yes. This could be a really big deal. They call it revolutionary text to XR capabilities. The idea is that this tech can take existing traditional learning materials like text from a book, diagrams, lesson plans.
Flat stuff.
Exactly, flat stuff. And it can quickly transform it into interactive, immersive 3D experiences and simulations.
Wow. Okay, so a teacher could potentially take a chapter on, say, the human heart, feed it in, and get a 3D model students can explore.
That seems to be the promise. Imagine manipulating complex molecules in chemistry or walking through a historical site. It makes abstract concepts much more tangible. That's a potential aha moment creator right there.
Definitely. Okay, so we have the platform, the spatial AI, the text XR. What about the teaching method, this learn, train, perform pedagogy?
Right, it's a structured cycle. The learn phase is about acquiring knowledge using spatial visualization, conceptual modeling, engaging multiple senses. Think exploring those 3D models we just talked about.
So understanding the basics.
Yes. Then comes train. This is about practice and skill development. Students can experiment in risk-free virtual environments, tackle progressively harder challenges, and get real-time feedback.
Like a flight simulator, but for learning physics or biology.
Kind of, yeah. Safe practice. And finally, perform. This is where students apply what they've learned. Project-based work, collaborative problem-solving in virtual spaces, assessments that feel more authentic than just a multiple-choice test.
Learn, train, perform. Got it.
It sounds very active, not passive.
That's the clear intention, moving away from just absorbing information to actively using it.
Now, the announcement also listed several other components. Can we quickly touch on those? EON AI Ready, AI Mentor. Sure. EON AI Ready seems linked to that text-to-XR capability preparing existing content. EON AI Mentor, which they also call Brainies, sounds like personalized AI tutors available 24/7, offering guidance and adapting the learning path for each student.
Personalized help anytime. That could be huge.
Then there's EON Vibe Coder. This looks like a no-code or low-code environment, meaning students and even teachers could potentially create their own simple applications or learning experiences without needing deep programming skills.
Empowering creation, not just consumption. Interesting.
And they mentioned the EON Global Marketplace, a place to share and distribute content, potentially reaching millions of users. That speaks to the scale they're aiming for.
Over 42 million users in 80 countries, I think the note says.
Something like that, yeah, highlighting the potential reach. And lastly, the EON Career Compass and Entrepreneur Guide.
Connecting the learning to the future.
Exactly. Trying to explicitly link what students are learning to potential career paths and skills needed for entrepreneurship, making it relevant.
Okay, that covers the what's. Now the how. How do they imagine this actually being used? What would the experience be like for a student?
Well, based on their descriptions, it revolves around these immersive educational experiences. Things like spatial visualization, manipulating those 3D models we discussed.
Getting hands-on with concepts.
Right. Virtual field trips visiting Mars or ancient Rome or inside a cell without leaving the classroom, that overcomes physical and cost limitations.
Access to experiences otherwise impossible.
Definitely. Then there's AI-guided learning, using those AI mentors for personalized support and adaptive challenges based on how the student is doing.
Tailored education.
And collaborative problem solving, students working together in shared virtual spaces on complex tasks or projects.
Learning teamwork in a new environment.
And underpinning all this is future skills development. They explicitly mentioned building AI literacy, creative thinking, ethical reasoning around AI, and even entrepreneurship skills.
So it's not just about learning facts, but learning how to thrive in the future.
That seems to be the core message.
And how do they plan to roll this out? Is it an overnight switch?
No, they outline a phased implementation approach, which sounds sensible. It seems to be an 18-month plan.
Okay. What are the phases?
Phase 1, months 1 to 3, is the foundation. Setting up research centers, building local teams, creating showcase examples to demonstrate the potential, sort of like a pilot phase.
Testing the waters, building buy-in.
Exactly. Phase 2, months 4 to 9, is expansion. Implementing the network more broadly, accelerating the creation of content, maybe using that text-to-XR, developing teachers, getting student leaders involved.
Scaling up within the initial partner institutions.
Seems like it. And Phase 3, months 10 to 18, they call global leadership. This involves wider international deployment, creating more premium content, and publishing research based on the outcomes.
So, proving the model and taking it worldwide. A gradual, structured rollout.
Yes, which seems practical for such a significant change.
Okay, let's talk benefits. They obviously believe this approach is better. What are the key advantages they highlight? For students first.
For students, the big claims are around accelerated learning. They actually throw out a figure like potentially 4x faster knowledge acquisition and better retention because it's more engaging.
4 times faster. That's a bold claim.
It is. We'd need to see the data over time, of course. They also stress the development of future-ready skills, the kind needed for the AI economy we discussed.
Like critical thinking, collaboration with AI.
Right. Also, personalized learning pathways, thanks to the AI, making abstract concepts immediately understandable through immersion, and that clear link to future jobs via the career compass.
So faster, deeper, more relevant learning tailored to the individual.
That's the pitch for students, yes.
And what about for the schools or educational partners who might adopt this? What's in it for them?
Well, positioning themselves as leaders in technology, obviously. A competitive edge.
Attracting students and staff.
Could be. They also promise demonstrably superior learning outcomes, which, if true, is huge, plus potential new revenue streams, maybe through content creation or program offerings, and generally enhanced recruitment appeal, and establishing themselves as thought leaders in educational innovation.
So benefits for reputation, results, and potentially revenue.
That seems to cover the main points for the institutions.
They also included a comparison table, didn't they? Highlighting the differences between their approach and traditional methods.
Yeah, it's quite stark. Across things like learning speed, engagement levels, personalization, how well you can visualize concepts, the focus on future skills versus just knowledge recall, they paint a picture of significant advantages for the spatial AI approach.
It really emphasizes the scale of the transformation they envision.
Absolutely. It's positioned as a leap, not just a step.
To make this more concrete, did they give any specific examples of what this might look like in a classroom? Curriculum highlights.
They did offer a few illustrative examples across different levels. For primary school, they mentioned things like interactive literacy gardens for phonics, or maybe virtual pet habitats for early science concepts.
Making foundational learning playful and immersive.
Exactly. For middle school, examples included a historical reconstruction portal, letting students maybe walk through ancient Rome, or cellular exploration labs for biology.
Bringing subjects to life that can be dry in a textbook.
Right. And for high school, they suggested things like an AI collaboration studio, where students work alongside AI on projects, learning human-AI partnership skills, or perhaps quantum physics simulators for advanced science.
Tackling complex, future-oriented topics directly. Those examples help visualize the potential, I think.
They make it less abstract.
So wrapping this up, what's the big takeaway here?
Well, EON Reality is clearly positioning this Spatial AI K-12 Academy as a potential revolution in education. It's a comprehensive attempt to address that gap we talked about between how we traditionally teach and what students arguably need for an AI-permeated future.
Using immersive tech, AI personalization, and that learn, train, reform cycle.
Precisely. It's presented not just as an evolution, but a necessary transformation, an opportunity, as they frame it, for educational leaders to become pioneers.
It's certainly an ambitious vision.
No doubt about it. The potential seems significant, but implementation and proving those outcomes at scale will be the real test.
We hope this deep dive has given everyone listening a clearer understanding of this new initiative and its potential impact. It definitely raises some big questions about where education could be headed.
It really does. Which leads to maybe a final thought for our listeners to consider.
Go for it.
Considering how rapidly AI is changing, well, almost everything, what other fundamental parts of our society, beyond education, might be overdue for a similar kind of ground-up reinvention? Where else are we using 19th century models in a 21st century world?
That's a provocative question to ponder. If you want to explore the EON Reality Initiative in more detail, you can look for their white paper on the Spatial AI K-12 Academy.
And they also have their own podcast and blog where they discuss these ideas further.
Absolutely. It's clear the conversation about learning's future is ongoing and, frankly, essential. Thanks for tuning in to this deep dive.